What's up there guys, GarethWilliam414 here, and welcome to a brand new video on the channel. In today's video I look into one of the greatest mysteries in the game, Pot of Greed. I've spent years researching this card, searching for the one answer that everyone wants in regards to this unknown phenomenon. What does Pot of Greed do? Quick warning, this started as a fact video, but I got carried away when I was writing the intro and it all just spilled from there. This is different, I hope you enjoy it. I dived right in and I have studied almost every aspect of the card to bring you that answer today. Here is the outcome of years of research and the unbelievable story of my journey. I will leave a link in the description below with a playlist of all my research into the other beings within the game. If you haven't checked out my other Yu-Gi-Oh adventures, then head over there. And if you enjoyed this video and if it finally brought closure to you, let me know by smashing that like button so we can help the other helpless millions who need this answer. Let's see if we can hit 350 likes on this video, so with that my research and story can be viewed by all. So here goes. Pot of Greed is a spell card, and a powerful one at that. It has taken all my skill, knowledge and determination to decipher the ancient scripture, to which the results shocked me and changed my life forever. Pot of Greed. Draw 2 cards. This had taken me back. As well as it being the shortest effect text of any card, what does it mean? Draw 2 cards, but from where? It wasn't until I dove further into the mystery and went on a life-changing journey that I found a copy of the card, but with more ancient scripture to decipher. After hours upon hours of work, I finally did it. The mystery was finally solved. It read, Pot of Greed, draw 2 cards from your deck. What power, what magnificence! It became clear to me now, this is why this card has been on the forbidden list for many years. I will now share with you the contents of my research. Firstly, I found out that the pot appeared in the artworks of the following cards: Asleep at the Switch, Avatar of the Pot, Cashback, Counter Cleaner, Dark Spirit Art Greed, Exchange, Extra Book, Fine, Goblin Circus, Goblin of Greed, Goblin Out of the Frying Pan, Greed GRADO, Greed Pact, Jackpot 7, Jar Robber, Mistaken Arrest, Moray of Greed, Panic Shuffle, Peking Goblin, Pot of Duality, Return, Shard of Greed, Single Purchase, Spellbook Inside the Pot, Spirit of the Pot of Greed, and the Gift of Greed. Despite the card's dark power and forbidden status, I found that the cards Shard of Greed and Moray of Greed were made. These, from what I gathered, were like a tribute to the pot's overwhelming power, and following this, 6 counterparts were made to imitate the pot's effect, but failed to match the intensity of the original. The 6 counterparts I uncovered were Chaos Greed, Pot of Avarice, Jar of Greed, Pot of Duality, Pot of Dictomy, and Red Dragon Vase. It seems that this card's infamous power is similar to a card in the game Magic the Gathering. The card in question is called Black Lotus, which we can agree is a far less overwhelming name. The similarities came in its lack of balance and that it has also been banned from gameplay. But going back to Yu-Gi-Oh, I found that a further 8 cards had been made with similar effects to the Pot of Greed, though lack in their effectiveness next to it. These cards were Allure of Darkness, Solar Recharge, Trade-In, Rare Value, Common Charity, Destiny Draw, Reckless Greed, and Cards of Consonance. Though many had tried and failed to make a card that would stand up to the potential of Pot of Greed, there was talk of 2 cards that had not only matched the effect but had taken the effects of other forbidden cards. I had to find out the truth behind these allegations, which then led my next step in my journey to Japan. It was here in one of the great shrines that I came across what I originally thought was a myth when first told about the existence of these cards. What I found almost killed me. There it stood. It did not look like anything special until I read further. The card in question was named Furin Kazan, when translated means Wind, Forest, Fire, Mountain. It was magnificent. It was a trap card that had harnessed the abilities of Raigeki's Monster Destruction, the Harpy's Feather Duster that would wipe the board clean of your opponent's spell and traps, the Delinquent Duo's effect of discarding from the hand of your enemy, and finally, the forbidden power of the pot. Draw 2 cards. How can this be true, I asked myself. I was almost froze in time at the fact that there was a card that not only bared the effect of the pot, but ultimately had more power. It was then an old master greeted me and brought me back to the light. He then told me how the card was created. Yes, it had this immense power, but could only be activated if there was a face-up wind, water, fire, and earth monsters on the field. A drawback to say the least, but intensely imitating at the same time. I told the master of my research and that of my quest to find these 2 powerful cards. It was here that he shocked me even more. He replied, "Yes, the other card you seek is Pot of the Forbidden. That is also here at the temple." He led me to another part of the temple and to another old shrine. And there it was. Not only were the myths of these cards true, but they both reside in the same place. My heart was beating with a great intensity, my mind racing to come up with a conclusion. I could just not fathom the situation. This monster card had the power of the pot, Raigeki's monster destruction, Giant Truenade's ability to clear the field of spell and traps, and the ability to look at your opponent's hand and place a card back in their deck, which of course was the power of the Forceful Sentry. The next thing I remember was waking up a few days later. The old master was kind enough to explain further about this second card. He told me of the monster's ability to activate one of the effects. This could only happen when flipped. He also told me that this card has the highest defense of any flip effect monster in creation. The effects that took place in Japan were life-changing, but I could not stop there. I had to continue my quest for knowledge on the pot as there was much left unanswered. I then arrived in Egypt, the place said to be the origin of the pot. At this point I had only figured out half the puzzle, draw 2 cards. I still had no idea what that meant. I travelled deep into Egypt, following many leads that would ultimately lead me to further dead ends. Tired, exhausted, even on the verge of giving up, then I caught sight of a bar. In great need of rehydration from the desert sun and travelling from village to village, I took refuge. It was here that an old hooded man came over. I tried to ignore him best I could, but he stared intently into my eyes. I couldn't deny him much longer and turned to confront him. Knowledge of the pot you seek, and the answer to the mystery of the greed. Against all of my better judgment, I engaged in conversation with the man. He told me that he had the final answers to the puzzle, and that he would lead me to the place where I could learn what I needed to know, if I could answer one question. I begrudgingly answered, "Fine old man, I'll play your game. What's the question?" He grinned and said, "Look at my grin. The pot resembles one just like it. If you can tell me correctly how many teeth you can see on the card's artwork without looking at a copy, I will lead you to the place where the mystery is complete." My mind went blank. What kind of childish game is this? How could something so important be decided like this? What if it was a trap? I don't know this man. I don't know his intent. He rushed me for an answer, and in my frantic state, without thinking, I blurted out the number 20. "Good," he said. "Now follow me." The whole journey I kept asking myself why I was doing this. My mind was racing to come up with an answer to whether this was right. How far would I actually go for this answer? We went down a corridor which led to a locked door. The man pulled out a bunch of keys and turned to me. "The answer you seek lies behind this door. You must understand that if you are not worthy, there will be consequences." I asked him what nonsense he spoke of, growing more and more frustrated as the night went on. He told me that the pot itself lied behind this door. Any man who tries to take their hand out of the pot that is not worthy will cause the pot of greed to explode, taking out everything around it. This is a story I thought he was just trying to scare me with, until I remember a passage I had read in an old master guide. It spoke of this same story and the many people searching for the same answer I am, not having the heart to try. I remember reading that passage thinking that my quest for the answer would drive my answer to be a simple one. But now I stand here, I feel that same fear. I took a breath, calmed myself, and accepted the challenge. I had come too far to turn back now. As I walked through the door, the old man said, "Good luck," and closed the door. It was now, definitely, too late to turn back. A real now or never situation. The feel of the room was like something I'd never felt. Such power, far more than I had felt in the temple in Japan, but this time I would not be overwhelmed. I could see the pot stood upon an old shrine. I was so close. I walked up to it. The power and feel of the room was just so intense, but I refused to be consumed. My arm reached into the pot. I felt what it was I was looking for. I paused for a second, and then lifted my arm out as quickly as I could. A surge of that forbidden energy filled the room, and in fear of my life, I froze. What would happen next? A loud noise filled the room, and everything was what I can only describe as madness, until silence fell upon the place. A strange calm came over the room. I collected myself and looked in my hand. There it was, a copy of the card, but this time with more ancient scripture. Finally, the answer to the great mystery was in reach. All I had to do now was decipher the rest of the text. It took hours, months even, but I'd done it. I will never forget my journey, and I'm extremely proud that I have uncovered the answer. The card was taken to a museum so that the world could view it and finally get closure on the mystery it held. Pot of Greed. Draw 2 cards from your deck. Thanks for watching, guys. This was what I can describe as different. It was originally meant to just be a fact video on the Pot of Greed, but I got way too carried at the start and kind of just kept writing. I hope you enjoyed this. I guess you can call it fact video fan fiction mashup. It was really fun to make, and I have no idea how this will actually be received. But don't forget to check out the playlist below if you want to see any of my previous Yu-Gi-Oh! Fact videos. And if you enjoyed this video, let me know by smashing the like button and sharing this video with a friend that is into Yu-Gi-Oh! As it really helps this channel grow. If you're new here and you'd like to see more fact videos like this one, or you're interested in the other Yu-Gi-Oh! Content I make, consider hitting the subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all of my future releases. You can also connect with me on social media. The links to my Facebook, Twitter and Instagram are on the screen now. So if you want to follow me on those platforms, feel free. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video. Take care.